It is essential to be up to date on happenings around you, and to make that easy for you, ladies and gentlemen, we present Freshlight, where we bring fresh newspaper headlines to the limelight. Mondays to Saturdays, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Watch, like, subscribe, and make sure your notification is activated on our YouTube channel. You can also like and comment on our pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Al-IyamoyeTv and radio.
Pleasant morning, welcome to Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. It is a new day, the 19th day of the month of May 2023. It is a day called Friday, the start of your weekend, and we're here to save you that stress to make your weekend splendid by starting with the newspaper headlines on Freshlight. I am OLUWAFISAYOMI, AJIBOLA.
And I am RISQAT.
Okay, let's start with our first paper this morning, which is Daily Trust. We'll be coming with 6 different newspapers this morning, but starting with Daily Trust, let's look at the cover stories on Daily Trust.
Okay, on the Daily Trust, I have this bold headline: ahead inauguration, Naira falls to $760 US. National Assembly leadership contenders woe lawmakers with foreign currency. Demand went up this week, BDC operator says. You can find this in page 4 of Daily Trust newspaper. Port Harcourt refinery ready before year end. Worry Kaduna 2024 Kyari say. Direct entry candidate now to write UTME, JAM says. APC MWC set aside Goje's expulsion, says ex-governor remains bona fide member. National Assembly's leadership contenders woe lawmakers with foreign currency. Security agents dodging bandits, mocking victims, Sultan says. EFCC probes Zamfara governor over 70 billion naira fraud. We don't know Chibok girls' whereabouts, military says. You can find this in page 27 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, of the front page of Daily Trust front page this morning, Buhari to confine GCFR GCON on Tinubu Shetima Thursday. These are more stories you are going to find on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. So going to the details.
Okay, ahead of inauguration, Naira falls to 760 Naira per dollar. Ahead of inaugurations of the next administration, the US dollar has risen to 760 Naira as politicians, including contenders for the presiding officers of the National Assembly, scammer for the foreign currency. The inaugurations of the next administration will be held on May 29, 2023. It is expected that the 10th Assembly will be inaugurated on June 13 after a proclamation letter by the new President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Daily Trust report that the second term of President Muhammad Buhari will expire in the next 10 days. Ahead inauguration, Naira falls to 760 Naira. Daily Trust newspaper has the details. Security agents dodging bandits, mocking victim Sultan. The Sultan of Sokoto and President of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs Al-IyamoyeTv says these days, security operatives only appear at scenes of attacks to mock victims long after bandits have struck. He spoke in Abuja on Thursday at the second quarterly meeting of the Nigerian Inter-Religions Council (NIREC) with the team Media and Effective Nation Building. The Sultan described the resurgence of insecurity after the general election as very alarming. Security agents dodging bandits, mocking victims, Sultan. That also you will see on Daily Trust.
Also on Daily Trust newspaper, federal government inaugurates Advertising Offences Tribunal. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, yesterday inaugurated the Advertising Offences Tribunal. He said the tribunal was created to ensure success of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria (ACON). He said experts has described the tribunal as the first of its kind anywhere in the world. He also said the government realized there was a contemporary regulatory shortcomings in the Advertising Practitioner Act 2004 due to lapse of time since its enactment in 1988 and the evolution of new media with its attendant capacity to foster business growth, create employment, and change the social, cultural, and economic activities. To read more of this story, you can go to the Daily Trust newspaper. It has this headline: Federal Government Inaugurates Advertising Offences Tribunal.
Okay, we don't know Chibok girls' whereabouts. Military. The military says it lacks the capacity of technology to know the whereabouts of the Chibok schoolgirls abducted by Boko Haram insurgency in 2014. Director of Defense Media Operations Major General Musa Damadami said this in Abuja on Thursday while fielding questions from journalists shortly after the bi-weekly press briefing. Precisely on the Chibok girls are just like any other human being like us here. You cannot see anybody walking and just identify this as a Chibok girl. There's no way the military can have the capacity or technology know that precisely this is where the Chibok girls are. Words of the military spokesperson as regard Chibok girls. We don't know the whereabouts of Chibok girls. The military is saying this morning. And lastly, on Daily Trust, before moving to Sun newspaper, FG inaugurated Advertising Offences Tribunal. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, yesterday inaugurated the Advertising Offences Tribunal. He said the tribunal was created to ensure success of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria (ACON) in regulating and promoting effective advertising activities in Nigeria. He said experts has described the tribunal as the first of its kind anywhere in the world. FG inaugurated Advertising Offences Tribunal. It sees on Daily Trust this morning.
Okay, picking the stories on the front page of this Daily Sun newspaper, I will start with this bold headline: May 29, no court can stop Tinubu's inauguration. Federal government says NSAs warns unauthorized persons to stay away from Eagle Square. Buhari to confer Tinubu Shetima with GCFR GCON. Anambra attacks police arrest to raise criminal camp in Ogbaru community. Mba Enugu governor-elect slams 20 billion naira lawsuit on NYSC. Buhari to diplomats always respect cultures, traditional institutions. Zamfara governor facing 70 billion naira fraud. Page 5 and page 28 has this. Investigation EFCC says, despite postponement, NPC spent 200 billion naira on national census. Akpabio hails Aisha Buhari over inauguration of AFLPM building. And lastly, on the Daily Sun front page, elder statesman Anyi Ude, 82 dead. Let's go to the details of the story.
Okay, starting with the no court can stop Tinubu's inaugurations. Federal government In spite of the ongoing litigations and protests, the inaugurations of the president-elect and his deputy, Bola Tinubu and Kazim Shettima, would hold as scheduled on May 29. This was disclosed at the World Press Conference by the chairman of Presidential Transition Committee and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. The media outing was organized to brief Nigerians and the entire world on the programs of activities planned for the 2023 presidential inauguration. Mustafa, who described the upcoming event as historically significant to the country and the international community, particularly Africa, because of the democratic values and lessons in the nationhood. He said it was for this reason the committee chose Nigeria, better together, as the theme for the 2023 transition. No talks can stop Tinubu's inaugurations. FG is saying this morning. FG states LGA shares 656.932 billion naira in April, says FAAC. The Federation's Account Allocations Committee, FAAC, on Thursday reviewed that the 3 years of government shared 655 billion 932 as April subvention from the revenue generated in March. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of the Federation Account Allocation Committee meeting for the May 2023. According to the FAAC, the 655,932 billion total distributable revenue comprised distributable statutory revenue of 364,654 billion, distributable value-added tax revenue of 202,762 billion, electronic money transfer levy of 14.516 billion, and 50 billion naira augmentation from forex equalization revenue, and 24,000 billion, 24.00 billion augmentations from non-numerical revenue. To get details of that business news, pick up a copy of the Sun newspaper and search for the headline. FG states LG shared 655.932 billion naira in April, says FAAC.
Moving to Ogun State, police clear air on Ogun accident, says they were not chasing fraudster. The Ogun State Police Command has cleared the air on a viral video circulating on the social media on the attack on commercial motorcycle rider by the police at AJIBOLA area of the state. The police have started running away. To read more of this story, you can go to the Sun newspaper. It has this headline: Police clear air on Ogun accident, say they were not chasing fraudsters.
Okay, let's look at this. Abure resumes as LP National Chairman. Julius Abure and 3 other suspended officials of the Labour Party LP yesterday returned to the party secretariat in Abuja to assume their various posts. Abure told journalists that the party had appealed the FCT High Court decision to suspend him, the party secretary Farouk Ibrahim, and 2 others from serving as the party national officials. As a result, the FCT High Court no longer has jurisdictions over the case. Abure also denied allegations by the Apapa Lamidi-led faction that he collected 500 million naira to endorse Godswill Akpabio for Senate President. He also debunked allegations that he mobilized persons to attack Lamidi and his team at the Presidential Election Tribunal Wednesday, stating that it was solely the handiwork of Nigerians who were unhappy about his Lamidi actions against Labour Party. Abure resumes as LP National Chairman. You can read the details on Daily Sun. Okay, looking at the last story on Daily Sun before moving on to the Nation newspaper. After a marathon proceedings on Thursday, the Presidential Election Petition Court PEPC reserved a ruling till a later date on the application by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the People's Democratic Party for live broadcast of the court proceedings. The Justice Haruna Usmani led 5-member panel made the announcement cancelled to the parties, and the petitions argued and adopted their respective briefs for and against the motion. Lead counsel to the petitioner, Chris Uche, had prayed the court to grant the application for overall interest of the public and the nation. Tribunal reserves rulings on Atiku Tinubu live broadcast request. It is on the Daily Sun newspaper as published today.
On the Nation newspaper this morning, on the Nation newspaper frontage, we have National Assembly. Governors will back Akpabio. Abba says Sule. Matawali under probe for 70 billion naira contract, says EFCC. Transition Council rolls out Tinubu Shetima inauguration program. We have spent 200 billion naira on postponed census, says NPC. NNPCL pays $38 billion IV cash call to raise production. Autumn named street after 1999 Coke quota. Court remands Ejigbadero over land grabbing. Over land grabbing perjury allegations. And lastly, we have Akpabio praises Buhari wife for African First Ladies building. These are many more stories you'll find on the Nation newspaper this morning, and going into the details of the story.
Okay, going into the details of the Nation newspaper, EFCC Zamfara governor under probe for alleged 70 billion platinum phantom contract. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC has said Zamfara governor Bello Muhammad Matawale is under investigation for allegedly award of phantom contract and diversion of over 70 billion naira. He said the cash was sourced as a loan from an old generation bank purported for the executions of projects which were never done. The anti-graft agency claimed that more than 100 companies have received payment from funds with no evidence of service rendered to the states. EFCC Zamfara governor under probe for alleged 70 billion phantom contract. You can read the details on the Nation newspaper. Also on the Nation newspaper, Transition Councils roll out Tinubu Shetima inauguration program. The Presidential Transition Council (PTC) yesterday rolled out a program for the inaugurations of Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Kashim Shettima as President and Vice President on May 29. The President-elect will be conferred with the highest national awards of Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, and Vice President-elect will be second highest national award, the Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger, by President Muhammadu Buhari on Thursday, ahead of their oath taking 4 days later. Chairman of the Council and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said many foreign heads of state have been invited and expected to attend. Okay, Transition Council rolls out Tinubu Shetima inauguration program. The Nation has the details also. Okay, let's look at another story on the Nation newspaper before going for a break this morning. National Assemblies, governors will back Akpabio, Abbas, Sule. National Assembly, governors will back Akpabio, Abbas says Sule. Okay, the Nation newspaper has the details on this morning. Okay, let me look at this again. Okay, National Assembly, governors will back Akpabio, Abbas, Sule says. The All Progressive Congress APC governors from the North have resolved to support President-elect Bola Tinubu's choice of National Assembly presiding officers. Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule has said. He spoke during separate meetings at the Nasarawa State Governor's Lodge with Senate President aspirant Godswill Akpabio and Deputy Senate President aspirant Barau Jibrin on Wednesday night, as well as yesterday with House of Representatives Speaker aspirant Tajuddin Abbas and Deputy Speaker aspirant Benjamin Kalu. Akpabio was at the meeting with members of the Solidarity Group, which is spared in his campaign. Sule told the aspirant that they cannot in any way fight the choice of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The details is on the Nation newspaper. National Assembly, governors will back Akpabio, Abbas says Sule. We'll go for a commercial break, but we'll come back. We'll look at the remaining stories on the Nation newspaper and other newspapers this morning.
Thousands have been disappointed several green pasture business. It is a rocket science. That is not our case. Our TAUSAF details on how to successfully, without stress, help you cure your visa to anywhere in the world. Residential visa, visiting and tourism visa, student visa to places like Europe, America, Asia, Africa. It's no big deal to us at TAUSAF Travels and Tours. For years of experience and expertise speaks volume. Process and secure visa for you to UK, USA and Canada within a twinkle of Hajj and Umrah services to our Muslim faithfuls. What are you waiting at? Number 9 TAUSAF Central Mosque, Lancaster Street, we are built. 087330900 or 08064060. Stop wasting money. Pay for people. Talk to TAUSAF Travels and
gbogbo aláfẹ́ tó gba yìí tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó pàgbà mú ló ń kọjá of Zion. The name of top-notch fashion, quality material, House of Zion. Let's máa rójúlówó Turkey wears, Egypt, Malaysia clothing, Dubai inner bags lóríṣiríṣi, àwọn ìtẹ̀lẹ̀ bàtà tó jìnnà wọn pàwọ̀ original ṣì ká wákàtí ọjọ́, designer sunglasses and perfumes pẹ̀lú àwọn gbogbo àsìkò fi gbà fẹ́ lò gbà. Mo débẹ̀ ojú mi ń ṣe kámi èmi ni ó mú gbogbo ẹ̀yin mùsùlùmí ẹlẹ́sìn tẹ́ gbòógì wá nílò jàlábíà, hijab àti House of Zion ti rí gbogbo ẹ̀ rà. House of Zion wà ní Fero Agape Parish Ọlọ́runṣògo Abẹ́òkúta lórí Instagram 165688618. House of Zion ilé ìjà tá a ti ń tojú kan aṣaralóge tí ń gbéni níyì ayì tó fẹ́ wọṣọ yìí ṣoge tó bá ti House of.
Welcome back from the commercial break. Moving to Vanguard newspaper this morning. We have on the front page, we have patients groans as doctor strike enters day 2. Exodus hits government hospitals as private hospitals record bricks businesses. You can find this on page 13 of the Vanguard newspaper. Also, Shenkuti court extend detention by 4 days. Page 7 of Vanguard newspaper. That is where you see the news this morning. Power must quit now, CSO tells federal government. We have this on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. 10th National Assembly inauguration. Opposition parties worry over bid to alter rules. Montgomery appointed new British High Commissioner to Nigeria. You can find this on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Owe Lakemfa, we may never know whether the American visa residence is reality or fake. You can find this on the 17th, on the page 17th of Vanguard newspaper. Also, FIFA help Messi, Argentina win 2022 World Cup. This you can find this on the page 31 of Sports News Stories. We also have port congestion looms over suspension of bank import duty collection. This on the page 19 of Vanguard newspaper. U.S. convoy attacks. Police arrest 2 suspects. Page 11 of Vanguard newspaper has this story. Government kidnap COP members returning from camp in Rivers. Page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper has this story. And lastly, on the Vanguard front page. NNPCL clears 3.8 billion US dollar JV cash call indebtedness. Going into the details of this story.
Okay, the 10th National Assembly inaugurations, opposition's party worry over bid to alter rules. Ahead of the inaugurations of the 10th National Assembly, there are strong indications that the clerk of the National Assembly might affect some minor changes to the conventional rules of the legislature. Vanguard was reliably informed that the move to break the rules on the inauguration day is to allow the incoming president and chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC to witness the voting pattern of the Assembly, especially that of the House of Representatives. The zoning of principal officers for the 10th National Assembly by the APC National Working Committee is causing a stir, as some aspirants have vowed to challenge the decision. To read the details of that political story, 10th NAS inauguration, opposition's party worries over bid to alter rules. Patients groan as doctor strike enters day 2. The 5-day warning strike embarked upon by the National Associations of Resident Doctor (NARD) entered the second day today as patients expressed frustrations over their inability to receive treatment in public hospitals. The situation was particularly worse in public places, in public hospitals in Nasarawa State and Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital, Kaduna, where patients were abandoned by the striking doctors. The situation was not different in public hospitals in other parts of the country from the east, west to the north. The strike caused exodus of patients to private hospitals, which are currently making bricks business, though at high cost to patients. To read details of the striking doctors, pick up a copy of Vanguard newspaper. It has this headline: Patients groan as doctor strike enters day 2.
Still on Vanguard newspaper, and I will be going to Port Harcourt, moving to Port Harcourt. Government kidnapped corps member returning from the camp in Rivers. Port Harcourt government had reportedly killed some National Youth Service Corps (NYSC) members in Emohia local government area of Rivers State. It was gathered that the victims were on their way back from the recent orientation camping exercise in Ondo State. They were abducted around 9 p.m. Tuesday on their way to Port Harcourt. The witness said the corps members were abducted on the Rumuji axis of the east-west road in Emohia, Rivers State. To read more of this story, you can go to the Vanguard newspaper. That is where we have the story news this morning. It has this headline: Gunmen kidnap corps members returning from camp in Rivers State.
APC set aside Goje's explosion, insists he remains member. Still on Vanguard newspaper, the All Progressive Congress APC National Working Committee (NWC) has set aside the purported explosion of Senator Muhammad Goje by the party's Gombe chapter. Mr. Felix Moka, the party's National Publicity Secretary, said this in a statement late Thursday in Abuja while reacting to media reports on the issue. To read details of the statement, pick up a copy of Vanguard newspaper and read these. Okay, the last one in Vanguard before moving on to Tribune newspaper this morning. Shehu Kuti, court extend detention by 4 days. It has this rider: he was not paraded. Police. Shehu's lawyer fought media trial. A Saboyabas Chief Magistrate Court in Lagos yesterday granted an application for an extension of remand of embattled Afrobeat singer Shehu Kuti for additional 4 days. The Chief Magistrate, Mrs. Adeola Olatuboso, extended Kuti's remand until May 22. Mr. Simon Lowe, who led the police legal team to the court, had moved the application. According to him, the extension is to allow for further investigation into the case. Mr. Kuti was charged with assaulting a police officer when he allegedly slapped an Inspector of Police slapped an Inspector of Police after driving dangerously on the 3rd Mainland Bridge in Lagos State and deliberately blocking a moving police vehicle on May 13, 2023. Shehu Kuti, court extend detention by 4 days. The Vanguard has the details.
Okay, moving to the Punch newspaper this morning. Tinubu inauguration program begins Thursday. Federal government invites over 65 world leaders. Stay away from inauguration venue if you don't have business there, SGF says. Buhari hands over transition documents to incoming president on Thursday. Matawali diverted 70 billion naira with 100 firms, EFCC alleges. NYC at 50, Buhari grants 65 ex-corpers automatic employment scholarship. You can find this on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. Also, 2 held over U.S. consular officers killing. Osun workers protest as Adeleke begins payroll audit. Federal government allocation dropped again as federal government states share 655 billion naira. Live brokers threat to tribunal judges' lives. Tinubu lawyer. I'll pick this again. Live broadcast threat to tribunal judges' lives, Tinubu lawyer says. And lastly, on the Punch front page this morning, NNPCL begins crude supply to Dangote refinery next week. You can find this on the page 24 of the Punch newspaper. I'm going to the details of the story.
Okay, let's pick this. Lawmakers loud FG approval on Ondo Seaport. The senators representing Ondo South in the Senate, Nicholas Tofowomo, has joined other Nigerians in congratulating Ondo State on the federal government's approval for the establishment of a deep sea port in the state. The Federal Executive Council has given the approval for the operating license for the port at the FEC meeting held at the State House in Abuja. In a statement issued on Thursday by East Media Head, Mr. OLUWAFISAYOMI, the senator credited the approval of the seaport by the federal government to reward of a collective effort made by all the stakeholders. Lawmakers lauds FG's approval of Ondo Seaport. The Punch has the details. Tinubu's inauguration programs begin Thursday. FG invites over 65 world leaders. Stay away from inaugurations venue if you don't have business here. SGF. Buhari hands over transition documents to incoming president Thursday. These are riders to this lengthy story. But quickly looking at the story, about 65 world leaders, including head of state, have been invited to grace the inauguration of the president-elect Bola Tinubu, who will be sworn in as the 16th president of Nigeria on May 29. Also expected at the nation's 17th transition ceremony are past presidents, diplomats, head of international organizations, and prominent Nigerians and representatives of foreign governments and agencies. The inaugurations program will begin on Thursday with the investiture of Tinubu with the Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic and Vice President-elect Kasim Shettima as the Grand Commander of Order of Niger. Tinubu's inauguration programs begin Thursday. FG invites over 65 world leaders.
Moving to Lagos, we have this story. Robbers on the rampage as Lagos collapse bridge causes gridlock. Armed men have started seizing the opportunity of the gridlock being caused by the collapsed section of the Ijora-Olokpa bridge in Lagos to dispose unsuspecting motorists and passerby of their valuables. It was further learned that the miscreants target their victims' phones, money, and other valuables. An eyewitness who did not want his name mentioned because of fear of victimization said some hoodlums attacked a lady in the traffic with a knife and dispossessed of her belongings on Wednesday. To read more of this story, you can go to the Punch newspaper this morning, and it has this headline: Robbers on the rampage as Lagos collapsed bridge causes gridlock.
Man jailed for stealing gas cylinder from police barracks. This is on the Metro page of Punch newspaper. 3 men, Friday Effiong, Michael Chukwu and Alex SN, were on Thursday sentenced to 9 years and 5 months imprisonment by Igbo Shere Magistrate Court sitting in Tinubu, Lagos Island for stealing. The magistrate, Oluwatosi, sentenced them after they pleaded guilty to the charge against them. The convicts were arraigned on April 11, 2023 on charges bordering on conspiracy, stealing and burglary referred against them by the police. The police prosecutor Cyrus told the court that the 32-year-old Effiong and others still at large conspired to to commit the offense. Man jailed for stealing gas cylinder from police barracks. That is also on Punch newspaper. Quickly going to the Tribune newspaper, let's pick one sporting story before we call it a wrap on these editions of Freshlight. Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale signs contract extension till 2026. Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale has signed a contract extension with the North London club. The England international has been impressive since his arrival at the Emirates from the Sheffield United in 2021, establishing himself as a key figure in the team setup. With Ramsdale's previous term set to expire in 2025, the new agreement ensures he stays at the Arsenal until 2016, with the club maintaining the option to extend the deal for an additional year as per information gathered by the reliable PA news agency. The sporting story, Arsenal goalkeeper Aaron signs contract extension till 2026, is available on Sporting Tribune as published today. Thank you for listening to this version of Freshlight on Al-IyamoyeTv and radio. Do stay with us tomorrow again at the same time, where we'll be coming with fresh newspaper headlines again. I remain OLUWAFISAYOMI AJIBOLA, and I exhort you to always be on this look to get informed and get educated, as we have all our programs syndicated on social media platforms. Good morning and enjoy your Friday.
And my name is RISQAT Sulaiman. Thanks for staying tuned. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend.